I know that there are a lot of people out there with brilliant ideas who aren't sharing them because they feel gross making content or sharing their art with the world. And sometimes that comes from a set of internal beliefs that need to be shifted. And other times it was just bad advice. Somebody, some marketing guru somewhere along the way told you that you needed to build out a content plan and that you needed to say certain things and that it needed to come across a certain way. And now every time you go to make something, you're forcing yourself into this box and it's just too painful. It's too much of a step down from what you are. And you don't have an ability to share your wholeness with the world. So I want to talk about these two things and see if I can help you get to the other side, because you not sharing your ideas is a huge disservice to yourself. You're missing out on a life that was made for you, a beautiful life where you have abundance, both externally, money, and internally, your relationships, your internal space. All of that begins to shift when you share yourself with the world. And it's doing the world a disservice because we're missing out on your brilliant ideas and it could change a lot of lives. So, on the mindset side of things, we've got to transition to a space where you are more intuition led, where you are more energy led. In other words, we are following what feels good for us in any given moment. And getting out of the advice that, you must post on one single platform, you must post every day on that platform. I've developed a strategy that is completely counter to that, that is working incredibly well right now. I've made a bunch of money over the past couple months by actually doing the opposite and spreading out where my stuff is going. So I'll tell you kind of what that looks like right now. But then also being willing to just show up and share from your heart. That's another thing that I mean when I say energy led, is it's not needing to look a certain way, not needing to appear a certain way. There's a huge energetic cost where you show up needing people to see you a certain way because you're worried about just showing up as yourself. And each action that you take from that place drains you because you're not being real, you're not being true, and people can feel that. Like if you're not just in the feeling and sharing that, people are going to notice. They're going to cut right through it. They're going to see that you're trying to tell them what to do instead of living it in this moment right now. When you can learn to connect to that feeling and have that be the thing that you're sharing, and trust and knowing that you're safe enough to do that, that yes, some people aren't going to receive you in the way that you wish to be received. And that's part of stepping up into creativity. It's part of stepping into business. When you plant a flag, people are going to start shooting. People are going to have the opposite opinion from you. And that's why it's so important to do the internal work that's required to be able to show up and share your ideas with the world. If you can get over this hump, you will be incredibly magnetic. And honestly, when you get to that point, it's not even about the words that you're saying. Like that's no longer what people are engaging with. They're engaging with your energy. They're engaging with the space in between the words. You just have this thing. You have something magnetic that people want, and they're going to want to spend more time around you regardless of what you're saying. It's a really cool and interesting place to be. So I'm going to get into a few different things that I want you to let go of and a few things that I want you to step into. Let's talk first about creating a different system, one that feels good to share your content and share your art so that you're not forcing yourself into this box. First and foremost, we got to talk about timing. The whole content plan thing, where you put together a calendar and you map out all of these different things and they're tied to your business objectives. Of course, I see the utility in that. However, we need first to get to a place where we have freedom of expression. And that thing, that giant beast of a system, is just another constraint. So I really recommend just sharing your insights as they land in you. It really is that simple. And you can't plan insights. You can't plan breakthrough. It happens when it happens because it is something that comes from the universe. It's something that is like an aha moment, right? This moment where we discover something, where we have this frame shift, where we see something new. Those are the things that we want to be sharing. That's where the power is. Like when you have this aha moment, if you can stay connected to that insight and share it with the world, it is going to be deeply impactful for people. So one thing that I just want to speak to here is as we're growing, as we're learning, as we're evolving, we go through pendulum swings where sometimes things are going really well. Sometimes we end up taking a few steps backwards into our old operating system or way of being in the world. The insights that you share should be once you are on the other side of them, not sharing from the messy middle, but sharing as you can reach back and you got to that next step. So how do you capture these insights? I very simply just open up my phone and I have a notes app and I just write everything down. I take probably 10 or 15 like insights a day. Some of them also I will post to Threads. Some of those I will share to my Instagram story. And so you can see that this content kind of comes out of nowhere. It's not a plan. It's just something that bubbles up inside of me. Also, I want to talk about DM. This obviously is something that people got turned on to as a strategy, right? Make a post and then we do this weird thing where everybody that likes or comments you're reaching out to, and you can tell, people can tell that it's just like you trying to get them to buy this thing. All of that feels yucky. At least to me, it does not feel super good. So as you are intuitively deciding what to create and when you're going to create it, you can also flip out of this DM strategy and instead flip into intuitive outreach. So reaching out to the right people at the right time because it was guided, you were guided to do it. You will get these pings throughout your days and weeks where you just have a sense that you are supposed to reach out to this person. Or maybe you see a comment or a message come from them and something in you is like, man, that is a conversation that needs to be had right now. The result from that versus just DMing everyone randomly because they commented and liked your stuff is 100x, I'm telling you. And this is also helpful to get over the numbers thing. So when people start creating, oftentimes they're seeking big numbers, right? They want lots of subscribers, lots of views, lots of likes, lots of comments. But in reality, what you need is deep connection because business is done one-to-one. It's done from me to you. And so if I can deeply connect with one person on a post and I get an intuitive hit that that person is somebody that I need to talk to, that post might have just made you $5,000, $10,000, whatever you charge for your engagement. So it's really important to follow your intuition and to not worry about maximum reach, but instead worrying about deeply impacting one person. That's what I consider a piece of my content or writing or video a success. If one person I know is deeply impacted by it, and I'll know that because they'll tell me. And then that is the basis of developing a very powerful, very successful, externally and internally business. It doesn't take too many of those deep connections to really get the ball rolling in your life. Next myth I want to dispel is that you need a single platform, that you need to post only to TikTok or only to Instagram or only to YouTube. So I followed this. I believed it. I bought in hook, line, and sinker for quite a while. And I have since stretched my wings because let me describe the pain, right? I would have these insights drop in and they would be in different formats. Like some would be really short. Some would be these bigger ideas that I needed to get across. Some felt like they wanted to be written. Some felt like they wanted to be video. Some felt like it wanted to be a conversation. And if I was only on YouTube, I would have to fit all of them into that thing. And so I'm missing out on some of my insights and on some of my learning and sharing those with people. When I gave myself permission to go everywhere, so now I'm on YouTube, In fact, you'll see this is the first video of a new channel. I have an old channel called Gene Keys with Jay Cohen. I'm kind of splitting it apart as I'm realizing that I don't have to follow this advice. So I've got YouTube, I've got my writing on Substack, which is me trying to share my personality a little bit more and sharing some deep business and spiritual insights. Then I've got TikTok that I recently started that I'm doing 3 or 4 minute videos on that is crushing. Like, all of these different things can hold and capture all of my different insights and resonate with people in different ways. And when you let go of the fear that it's going to be watered down or that you need to post every day, it really works so much better. Another thing that's really helpful here is that it breaks the what I call the metrics loop. So I don't know about you, but in the past, for me, when I would post, I would get into this loop of checking it, right? Looking at comments, looking at likes, seeing how it was doing. And it cost me so much time. It cost me so much energy. And when I flipped into this mode, I am so prolific in my creation. I mean, I'm posting all over the place. Now, again, not forced. I don't feel like I have to do this. It's just like I've found a flow that is moving through me. And with that flow, I'm posting so much that I don't have a desire or time really to go back and look at the metrics and see what was happening. There's just stuff everywhere. And I'm really starting to see like the flywheel take hold, more and more conversations, more and more impactful conversations, more and more people joining my group, more and more people joining my paid engagement, all of which is happening because I'm not caring about how I show up, what I'm saying, where I'm saying it. So you can let go of that story and you can do this in a way that feels good. Share yourself, all of yourself, and you hold that high frequency and you expect people to meet you there. You expect them to come up to you instead of you dropping down to them. Now let's talk about overcoming some of these internal hurdles that keep us stuck. The fear of being seen, the fear of harming people, of saying the wrong things. So we need to create a little bit of distance between ourselves and our ideas. If you are directly linked, you put too much importance in the idea. And if it doesn't work out, or if you get negative feedback, you internalize that on yourself, and it can really create this kind of self-destructive downward spiral. So in order to create this space, and honestly, it turns it into a much more fun game to make things, is I want to talk about the mental plane and your mental body. So you, as a part of your being, have different kind of levels of yourself, right? There's the physical body, there is your emotional body and the emotions that move through you, and there's your mental body and the way that you think. And it's largely dictated by your past and the filters that you have and beliefs that you hold. And then we've got the mental plane. And this is a plane of existence. Like we have this physical plane of existence where there are ideas that are floating around, and they vibrate at a much higher frequency than our physical matter here, but nonetheless, they're floating around us. And whatever your mental body is vibrating at, you're going to have resonance with ideas of a similar frequency. And so those ideas that have a matching resonance are the ones that get sucked into you. In other words, if you're down in the dumps, if you're struggling, if you're fighting, if you're on social media doom scrolling, all of that stuff, if you are not in a good energetic state, is getting internalized into you, and it's what you're going to be thinking about. Now, if we are vibrating at a higher frequency, we've meditated, we've spent time in nature, we're feeling the unity of all things, I could walk into a holy place or a holy land, Machu Picchu, let's say, and download in just an incredible idea or piece of information because my resonance is matching what's floating around in that area. And what this does is it gives us some space, right? It helps us to feel that the idea isn't actually ours. It was out here. It just chose us as the person to help make it manifest in the world. And that's your role. These ideas come when their time is here. There are plenty of examples of dual discoveries happening at the exact same time. DNA discovered in two places on opposite ends of the world. Punk rock popped up opposite places of the world at the same time. You've got people like Jimi Hendrix and Nikola Tesla talking about the feeling of stewarding an idea, that it's something that they grabbed onto, not something that was born from them. All of these things pointing to this connection between, the mental plane and your mental body. And this separateness gives us permission and makes us feel like we are the one, because the idea came to us. And that's for a reason. You have a specific skill set to help bring it out to the world. Now, when this idea comes, my advice to you is to create while it's alive. So if you have an idea, an insight, and I was talking about the Notes app earlier, that's great. And it can be helpful for your development. But if you try and create something from that place, if you don't do it immediately, it can be a little bit tricky, because the feeling is what you are trying to get across. The feeling of the insight is what's going to impact people, not the words. And so you've got to be in contact with that feeling. It needs to be alive in you so that you can, like, your kind of barometer as you're creating is, can you feel that thing? And if you can, it's going to come across. If you cannot, it's not going to come across. And so if you don't create while it's alive, it can come across kind of dead. And it's the content where it might, like, on the surface, solve a lot of problems and look really good, yet it doesn't really take off because people can feel that the magnetism underneath isn't quite there because this person didn't create this thing while it was alive. What this means is you have to be willing to break societal and cultural norms. Right? I had a call just like 2 weeks ago where I was supposed to get on the phone at 2:30 and I had to reach out to the person and be like, look, I just had this thing drop in. I'm in the middle of working on it. I need to push it back. And he was like, cool, no worries. I get it. Get in there and do it. But it means missing meetings sometimes. It means getting up in the middle of the night and capturing thoughts and essences. It can be inconvenient, but if you want to live a creative life, it's part of the cost that you have to pay. Now, as you are creating and it's alive, if the process gets incredibly difficult, if you get stuck, the best thing you can do is take a pause and walk away, because that energy, again, is what's going to come across in the art, in the content. So we've got to take a pause and we got to walk away. This needs to be a flow. So if you're taking my advice and you have all these different platforms or all these different areas, maybe you could try experimenting with a different format. Or maybe you just tweak the language slightly and try there, or just walk away entirely. Let that idea move and see if it sticks around, see if it stays alive in you and you can come back to it at that point. If not, perhaps that idea moved on to somebody else. One of my favorite stories comes from a book called Big Magic by Liz Gilbert, the same author of Eat, Pray, Love. And she talks about receiving an idea for writing a book about the Amazon. And something happens in her life where she can't end up following through on that idea. And she goes and she talks to another author named Ann Patchett. And they really hit it off. And Ann's kind of funky and fun and gives Liz a little peck, a little kiss. A year later, Ann releases a book about the Amazon that is almost like line for line, plot point for plot point, what Liz was going to write. So the idea will find somebody else if it's not for you. So you don't have to stress about that. Last thing that's so important in this process is reducing your internal filters, reducing how your limiting beliefs, essentially. The closer we can get to the original impulse of the idea, the more it is going to land for people. The more you filter, the more that your mind gets involved, the more that you try and craft it and make it perfect, the more it's going to miss the mark. That's why you can tell when people create with ChatGPT, it just feels hollow. The biggest thing to remember to reduce your filters is that you are a child of God, that you are unique beyond measure, and that you are infinitely valuable. And therefore, anything that you share is going to be helpful to someone somewhere along their journey. When you are deeply convicted in knowing your value, that's when all of these filters begin to fall away. And that's why I see business as a deep, deep personal development and spiritual development tool. The last thing I want to share is that your message will become clear with action. Don't wait until you have total clarity. You need feedback from the people that you're sharing with. You need feedback from your audience. They're going to help you get the right language and craft your message. You're not going to feel ready, and that's okay. But there are insights that are landed in you that you have learned, that are settled, that you can offer. Once you can get through these blocks and just let go and trust and know that you're going to help someone and that you have a deep responsibility to contribute to the whole. And it's going to change your life, and it's going to give you the life that you've been dreaming of. So stop worrying about what everyone's telling you that you need to do and tune in here and do that. Do the thing that you know is right for you, the thing that you've been avoiding. If you want help through that process, I have a community where we talk about energetics behind business and why people get stuck in loops and spirituality. And we talk about creating compelling offers and how to make content and how to magnetize people and all that stuff, but in a way that is way different, certainly, than like the normal marketing guru build a funnel thing, but also way different from the, create a conscious business thing, which are still very locked into frameworks. And this is how you should do it. I don't believe that that's the way. I believe you know the way. And I know that we can unlock that for you. So I'll put those links in the description. You can join the community. I'll also put a link to have a one-to-one conversation with me to see if that connection would be right for you. All right. Thanks for being here. There'll be more to come in the realm of business and spirituality on this channel. My other channel is going to be focused on a system called the Gene Keys. It's Gene Keys with Jay Cohen, I think is what I changed it over to. So if you're involved with that system, I'd love to see you over there, and we'll see where this all goes. Lots of love, guys.